A researcher from McGill University who works with national defense says he was courted for several years by a Chinese multinational suspected of espionage. And they were so desperate to have him that they were ready to offer him up to 3 times his salary. Now Benjamin Fung has come forward to testify in order to heed a warning to his colleagues, and he joins us now. Professor Fung, welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's great to talk to you here. And listen, I guess my first question is, why are you talking about this? Why are you sending out this message right now?
Because I think the Canadian government is also trying to promote the research security. And I think it is the right moment for my colleagues to recognize the risk of collaborating with Chinese giant companies. It is quite different from collaborating with other American or Canadian companies.
And despite this warning here, we see it happen all the time, and we see our universities, McGill and Concordia, sometimes collaborate with Chinese institutions. So, would you say that some of those activities need to be curtailed as well?
I think many Canadian universities are already paying attention to this issue. So it is kind of a bit risky because some of the Chinese companies, they are indirectly controlled by the Chinese government. And when we say we collaborate with the Chinese company, it's actually collaborating with the Chinese government. So I would like to raise the attention of my colleagues that sometimes those Chinese companies do not pay the same level of attention to privacy protection or data privacies as we do in other Canadian companies or American companies in the free world.
Professor Fung, could you tell our listeners just how you were courted by this company? Just how strong did they come after you?
So since several years ago, I think it's like 5 years ago, they have been contacting me and then trying to ask me to be their consultant in AI and cybersecurity. And then they offer me like 3 times of my salary, as you have mentioned. And the salary is very attractive, but I still have to reject the request because when I ask where you will get the data, they mentioned that you don't have to worry about that band. So we can always get the data for you. That statement, that response from that company really make me worry about that because it is not like the case in other companies that I have collaborated with. In other companies, we always have to sign a large stack of documents in order to get a small piece of data. But it looks like that this company that I'm talking about, this Chinese company, they do not have the same level of privacy awareness as other companies do. So this is the major reason why I say no to these Chinese companies. And their offer actually is not just about money; it's the whole infrastructure. They mentioned that from any idea that I can propose to a real life products, it only takes them 6 months to build these products. It is almost impossible for us to do this in the academic world in Canada. So this is, I would say, for an AI professor, this is even more attractive than the salary. It's the infrastructures that allow us to develop what we want and give it to the world to use it in several months.
We're with Professor Benjamin Fung from the School of Information Studies over at McGill University. Professor Fung, with everything you just told us, I'm still wondering why you said no, because, I could give you a list of former Canadian politicians that work with Chinese companies now. And they do it, and we don't really ask questions very often about the number of people that are now either working for or collaborating with Chinese companies. Yet you say no. You said no to a really lucrative offer. When you see other people that don't say no, that take the money and join forces, what goes through your mind?
Yes, so this is a typical strategy used by Chinese government or Chinese companies. It's called feed, trap, and kill. So They first use money to attract your attention, to attract your interest on this company or to work for them. They would at the beginning they will not ask you to provide anything, but once a professor, for example, once we get the money, the first thing we do is to recruit more students, right? So that's the trapping stage. We expect the company will provide more funding next year. So this is the trapping stage, and that is the moment they will ask for sensitive information or ask the professor to do something that is against their own will. So that is the strategy they use, and I hope my colleague understand that that's a risk that is not shared in other Canadian or American companies.
Now, one of the things that you've been highlighting is just how well this Chinese company and China knows our system. Like, they knew all of the little small clauses of your contract at McGill, and they tried to use that in order to get you. What does that say to you, just how much knowledge they have of just internal regulations of our Canadian institutions?
They understand the Canadian institutions and research community really, really well. They even know when I will have sabbatical leave, when I will have time to work for them. So they even do the calculation for me. I don't remember I have sabbatical leave 2 years ago. They remind me that I have that opportunity. So they are very carefully calculated on every issues. Yeah.
Are you worried about speaking up here and retribution and maybe how you'll become a target of the Chinese government?
I have already been a target for the Chinese government. So because I also organized some protests in front of the Chinese consulate. So for the Hong Kong issues. So I have already been targeted, and I have been decided not to go back to Hong Kong or China anymore. So yeah, that's how I try to protect myself.
Do our politicians, does the government need to be doing more here?
Of course, I hope they will provide more protection to the dissidents of Hong Kong or of China. So I would also hope the government will promote research security, put more efforts to promote research security, and to let our professor colleagues to understand the risk, and let the graduate students to know that, because when this Chinese company, when they fail to recruit me, they try to recruit my students. So it's not just professor, also the graduate students is at risk.
And what's the situation right now? Where are things right now in their courting of you, and maybe if they've switched from courting you to targeting you more severely? What's the current situation?
They will occasionally still try to recruit me once every 2 years. They still contact me and ask me to be their consultant, and now they're trying to recruit my students. I already informed all my students about the risk. I cannot really stop them from working for this company, but I told them there's a risk in there. And sometimes when a student works for that company, there's a risk that some other companies may not like that, and this will reduce their job opportunity in the near future.
And when they go after your students, are they offering equally lucrative opportunities? Are they throwing so much money at these students that some of them feel they can't say no?
They also offer a very high salary. They also but it's not as they pay me, right? It's three times salary. That's a bit too much for the student. But they also offer a very attractive salary package to my students.
Have any of them said yes?
No, none of them say yes.
And do you hear these same types of stories from other professors who may not be willing or able to speak up at this time? But is this something that's not just happening to you, but is happening throughout academia in Canada?
I don't know anyone has rejected them, but I see some collaboration actually going on. So, in other university, not in McGill, but in other university, I see some collaboration with this Chinese company.
Thank you, Professor Fung. I appreciate your time this morning.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. That is Professor Benjamin Fung from the School of Information Studies at McGill University.